Hello, you're most welcome to the abridged version of the news that's coming now due to the live transmission of the presidential broadcast on coronavirus in the country. Among stories, second mobile molecular laboratory launched in Ogun raises testing capacity to 150. President Buhari announces phased and gradual ease of lockdown in Ogun, Lagos, and FCT. UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson resumes work after coronavirus battle. Gas shortage hinders 23,081.5 megawatts of electricity generation. And FIFA proposes 5 substitutions per match. Opportunities to find deeper power within ourselves come when life seems most challenging. Once again, welcome to Ogtv News. President Muhammadu Buhari has approved phased and gradual easing of lockdown measures in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, Lagos, and Ogun State from Saturday, 2nd of May 2020, starting at 9 in the morning. He gave this directive during his national broadcast on the COVID-19 pandemic in Nigeria. President Buhari, however, said this will be followed strictly with aggressive enforcement of testing and contact tracing. Aggressive measures while allowing the restoration of some economic and business activities in certain sectors. Buhari also highlighted new nationwide measures against the spread of the virus. However, these revised guidelines, according to Buhari, will not apply to Kano State, saying the total lockdown in the state remains in force. Ogun State government has launched another mobile molecular lab testing of COVID-19, as well as take 150 samples a day as part of measures to contain the spread of the COVID-19 in the state. The State Deputy Governor, Engineer Noimotsalako Oyedele, stated this during the launching of the mobile lab at the 250-bed specialist hospital in Okemoson, Abeokuta. Yusuf Ganiu reports.
Okay, this molecular lab is another capacity to increase the testing of COVID-19 in the state. The state government believes that this kind of initiative will help to flatten the curve of COVID-19 in the state. With the spread of COVID-19 across the world, Ogun State government is not relenting in tackling the spread of coronavirus pandemic in the state. The state government, in partnership with some other non-governmental organizations, initiated another mobile molecular lab for COVID-19 testing, which can also take 150 samples in a day. The initiative will no doubt curtail the spread of COVID-19 in the state.
Just last week, we had the first drive-in testing center in Ota. And this week, we have the first mobile testing center anywhere in this country. This testing center has been accredited by the NCDC, and it's here in Abeokuta, where the tests that are collected at our various testing centers across the state will be brought in here for very quick results. And this will be a very fast turnaround for our medical personnel, and of course for the people who have been identified and tested as at risk, so that we can quickly address the situation, whether we need to treat, whether we need to isolate, or whatever it is we need to do.
The State Deputy Governor, Engineer Noimotsalako Oyedele, says the state government is doing everything humanly possible to strengthen the testing capacity in all the nooks and crannies of the state.
And we'll also engage the stakeholders in each local government to sensitize their people, to make sure that people are aware that they can come and take the test. Taking the test does not actually mean that you have the disease, or we are suspecting that you have the disease. We're using the test also as a means of just determining, how much of this disease is endemic in the society and the spread in the society. So it is random. The people who are at risk will be tested, but we're also doing some random sampling just so that we can gather some data.
The State Commissioner for Health, Dr. Tony Kuka, also reflects on the testing capacity of the state.
By the time we activate our lab in Olabisi Onabanjo Teaching Hospital, we should have a capacity of up to 200, maybe even 250, depending on how many cycles we run a day. At the moment, what we found as we've been in the field is our yield each day is roughly about 30 swabs. So I think we have more than enough capacity. It may well mean that as we go out more and people are more aware of what's going on, that we might have more people. We've actually screened over 3,000 people, but not everybody that gets screened gets tested, because you have to meet the criteria of being medium to high risk or have symptoms suggestive of COVID before we screen you, according to the NCDC.
Presently, the number of confirmed cases of COVID-19 still remains at 35 in Ogun State. Yusuf Ganiyu, Ogtv News.
As part of ways to motivate security agencies in the state in the wake of the fight against COVID-19, the state government has given relief materials to all security outfits in the state. The Deputy Governor, Engineer Noimot Salako Oyedele, charged them to keep up with the good work of protecting lives and property in the state, as well as ensuring compliance with the state government's directives.
Ever since the commencement of the lockdown in Ogun State, various security agencies in the state have been working round the clock to ensure enforcement as well as security of lives and property. As a way of appreciation, the state government provided them with food items, sanitizers, and other materials. The Deputy Governor of the state, Engineer Noimot Salako Oyedele, urges the security operatives not to drop the ball.
And we know that we have to support them, which we always do anyway, and it's an ongoing thing. We have a very good relationship with our security forces. But also at a time like this, the issues that affect everybody else in the community will also affect the families in the barracks, the community, in the general statewide communities. Let's now go and talk to our security agencies and support them so that they too will know that the government appreciates what they do. We are very mindful of this. They put their lives at risk, and the families at home are also very anxious when their spouses go out on the line of duty. So this is our way of saying thank you to them, and also making sure that they also get a bit. They are one of us. We are all in Ogun State, and we are all supposed to benefit from this. So that's why we're doing this.
Special Advisor to the Governor on Security, Olushola Subar, says the gesture is meant to boost the morale of the security agencies.
We have been working assiduously to ensure that this is well enforced. And that is why the government too is trying to appreciate the efforts of our security operatives. Because we know they have their own families too, and their families too are in need of support like this. So that is why the government has thought it wise that these people too should be considered in the distribution of these palliatives. You know, the people of Ogun State, to some extent too, have been very cooperative, and that has made the work of the security operatives to be very easy.
The security agencies are obviously elated.
This is a model of all the palliatives that has been received by the security agencies and the police in particular. We want to appreciate His Excellency Dr. Prince Dr. Abiodun for his kind gesture to the police and other security agencies to cushion the effects of the lockdown on the security agencies, so that we too can also have something for our men in the front line who are involved in this lockdown. Showing that we will definitely make sure that this palliative goes round, so that everybody can have a feel of it, so that we can be rejuvenated to add morale booster to the men in the field to enable us carry on until these very trying, difficult and critical times.
So we want to appreciate His Excellency, the Governor of Ogun State, Prince Dr. Abiodun MFR, for these kind of actions. I believe it will motivate our operatives to do more. You see that they are always on the road, 24/7, morning, afternoon, and night. And for giving them this palliative, I think it will go a long way to motivate them, and they will be so appreciative of it. So giving us this kind of palliative will go a long way to actually motivate our officers. So it is a very good one, I want to give kudos to Prince Dapo Abiodun, NSR, the Executive Governor of the State, for this initiative. The uniform, the beret, the boots are not enough to also wear the way coronavirus. But we are being remembered for all these palliative, particularly the sanitizer, the nose cover, even food. They are all part of it. So it's only when you are also secure that you can secure other people. So I see it as the government addressing security operatives.
Ogun State is currently under lockdown, which is meant to flatten the curve of the spread of COVID-19 in the state. Tunde Olaniro, Ogtv News.
The second phase of the distribution of relief materials to the poor and vulnerable in the state is more effective and methodical as the lessons learned during the first phase has been looked into. The Deputy Governor of the state, Engineer Noimotsalako Oyedele, stated this in an interview with our Governor's Office correspondent, Tunde Olaniro, at the Food Bank and Aknyale, Ewekuro local government area of the state.
The second phase of distribution has commenced. It's an ongoing process, and it's a very methodical and well thought out process so that we can reduce the challenges that may have been experienced in the first one. We are also very keen to take data of people who have benefited, because what we have seen is that when somebody has collected a parcel of food, and I'm sure you have experienced this in your day-to-day lives, when somebody collects a parcel of food, if you walk around the corner there, and if I give somebody a parcel of food here now, and I walk around the corner, the next person goes, have you collected? I say, no, because they want another one. And this is part of the stuff that we are experiencing, where people come and tell you that, oh, nothing here, or just 2 cups of rice. You get that, you realize that some people have collected there. So yes, there's some who have not received, and we will get to you. And there's some who have received and are perhaps not given the full information. So that's why we are also being methodical to collect the data. And also it helps us at the center to monitor what is going on in the local government, so that when we get the reports back from the local government, we are then able to do spot checks. If we get a few hundred names, we can call a few of them to check, did you really receive a relief package, or has somebody just put your name and your phone number here? And that is helping us to distribute more effectively this time.
That was the State Deputy Governor, Engineer Noimotsalako Oyedele, assuring residents that the second phase of the distribution of relief materials to the poor and vulnerable is more effective. Ogun State Government has flagged off the distribution of the second batch of relief materials to another set of people in Yewa South local government area in order to cushion the effect of the lockdown to stop the spread of coronavirus in the state. The Commissioner for Budget and Planning, Mr. Laolu Olabinton, while distributing the stimulus package on behalf of the government to the poor and elderly people in Ilaru, said that Prince Dapo Abiodun has fulfilled his promise to support the needy during the lockdown. He assured residents of Yewa access of more quality service delivery, saying the Governor Abiodun-led administration would not relent in spreading the dividends of democracy across the state.
Giving us the opportunity to continue to serve the people. We have commenced the distribution of the relief materials in Yewa South. That commenced today. That's this batch. We commenced today, and by the grace of God, like I said last week, we are going to do a better job of it this time.
Responding after collecting the packages, Mrs. Modina Tayelagbe and Madam Felicia Oladipupo showered encomiums on the governor for the kind gesture to the poor and the aged, saying the action showed that the governor is a caring leader with a large heart. The National Rubber Producers, Processors and Marketers Association of Nigeria has donated 12,000 pieces of rubber hand gloves to Ogun State government as part of their contribution to the state fight against the novel coronavirus. Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Agriculture, Dr. Dotun Shorunke, while receiving the items at Okemoson, said the items would help stem the spread of COVID-19 and promote locally made agricultural products in the state. Ife Sholade's report is presented in this package.
Rubber, being one of the largest exported natural resources in Nigeria, has over 50,000 products that could be derived from it. Some of them are tires, plastics, bags, shoes, coats, and most importantly, during this coronavirus pandemic, hand gloves. This necessitated the National Rubber Producers, Processors and Marketers Association of Nigeria to donate 12,000 pieces of latex hand gloves to the Ogun State government through its Ministry of Agriculture.
To the glory of God and to the benefit of mankind. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Mr. Dele McDaniel, chairman of the association, Ogun State chapter, in an interview with Ogtv News, says the donation is meant to complement the state government's efforts at combating the deadly virus.
The government of President Abiodun has done so well, and we felt which other way or which way can we actually complement his efforts in ensuring that the state is rid of this coronavirus. And we thought, well, since hand glove is a direct product of rubber, let us give our token, these 12,000 pieces of hand gloves, to the state government to at least complement their efforts. It is not enough, but at least as a social responsibility, we felt we should do that.
Permanent Secretary, Ogun State Ministry of Agriculture, Dr. Dotun Shorunke, after receiving the items from delegates of the association, appreciates the gesture and assures them of the state government's readiness to support locally made rubber farming, processing and marketing.
It's a laudable effort which is commendable by the Ogun State government. So many organizations and interest groups have been coming, and they believe, NATMA believe that they should come and do likewise, especially in promoting the products of the agricultural products, which is made from raw rubber. And the Ogun State government is looking in supporting them with adequate land for the continuity of their ventures in rubber production.
And with Ogun State being one of the largest food baskets of the nation, it is believed that rubber production, processing and marketing could also become a major employer of labor, an income-generating platform for the state and the country at large with adequate investment.
As time takes to May 1st, based on the directive of the state government on total compliance to wearing of the mask as one of the measures to flatten the curve of coronavirus pandemic, well-meaning Nigerians, including the Iyalode of Yoruba land, Chief Mrs. Alaba Lawson, and the Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, presented face masks and other items to the Nigeria Union of Journalists, Ogun State. The presentation took place at the NUJ Secretariat, Igbere, Abeokuta. Idowu Fabajo reports.
As the coronavirus pandemic continues to do damage to the world, the best way to go remains keeping social distancing, washing of hands under running water, using of hand sanitizer, and wearing of face mask and other personal protective equipment. Journalists in Ogun State are part of the people on the frontliners in the fight against the virus and needed to be supported in all ramifications. One of the good gestures to the profession is coming from the patroness of the union, Iyalode Alaba Lawson, who has presented face masks in large number to the union and other sectors of the society.
Because when I now heard it on the radio that by May 1st, everybody must wear face masks, and I think, well, what can I do as my humble contribution to my people? I first thought about the journalists, and the reason why I've chosen the journalists is because we have had so many of them because of the nature of their job to give us this news. They too have been infected. So we need to go about to cover our nose and make sure we want to say a word of thank you to the journalists for what they have been able to do since COVID-19 started in Nigeria.
Receiving the masks, the state chairman caretaker committee of the Nigerian Union of Journalists, Mrs. Omolola Adinga, appreciates Iyalode Alaba Lawson for the gesture.
I just want to appreciate her because she's our grand patroness. She has always been there for us. Anytime we call on her, she has always been answering us.
In the same vein, management of the Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, FUNAB, also extended their hands of fellowship to the Nigerian Union of Journalists at the Iwe Ruin House, Abeokuta.
In spite of everything we hear here, we go everywhere. You are as vulnerable as any group. When the state people are vulnerable, you are vulnerable as every group. Even where we have the isolation center, you have to be there. That is exposing you.
This avenue will serve as an opportunity for other well-meaning Nigerians to render assistance to the managers of information in the state who are in the front line of the fight against the virus. Idowu Fabadu, Ogtv News.
Monday, 27th of April 2020 became another window of opportunity for residents of Ogun State to restock their homes. Ogtv News observed total vacation of vehicular movement across major roads in the capital city of Ogun State after the expiration of Monday's relaxation. Peter Falomo reports.
It was another round of relaxation in Ogun State as residents came out in their numbers, not only to replenish their stocks, but to attend to various businesses in continuation of the mandatory lockdown towards containing COVID-19 pandemic. In all nooks and crannies of Abeokuta, Isalekbeyin to Omida, Wopik roundabout through Lalubu, Biri to Olomore Junction, Lafenwa, all experienced traffic as people were in a rush to beat the 2 p.m. deadline of relaxation. Some residents who spoke with Ogtv News shared their opinions on the window of relaxation.
The 14 days to me is too long. But for breaking it down, it has given us the opportunity to replenish our stock, whatever we need in the house, at least. I think it's better that way.
If you have a total lockdown in Nigeria, we have this poor system that cannot allow people to stay at home because we have a lot of people that make money on a daily basis. And if they don't go out, they will not be able to work and earn income to feed their families.
As residents begin another level of lockdown from 2 p.m. of Monday 27th April to 7 a.m. of Wednesday 29th April, the people react to the stay-at-home order by the government.
The main thing I observe is that COVID-19 is not a joke. So we need to cope with the government, so obey the rules and to move along with them, what they say we should do, where they say from the time we give us, so not to be moving around.
It's good for us to keep ourselves safe because it will be more disastrous if this virus spread all over the state or the entire country. What will be the result? We'll not be able to stand it at the end of the day.
On the use of face mask, which is becoming a custom to all and sundry, respondents speak.
Personally, I feel I don't want to contact the disease, and I don't want anyone around me to contact it. So it's expedient for all of us to use the nose masks, because the more we use it, the safer we stay. And the government has said we should stay safe. So it's better we use it and stay safe. So anyone sneezing by our side will not have to run away or will be afraid. We'll use it, we stay safe, and we kick fear away.
It's not that people don't want to wear it. You know, you feel some inconvenience in wearing it. So before the total enforcement starts, let me begin to practice it, so that by that May 1st, we get used to it.
That being said, except for those on essential services, residents of Ogun State are again set for another 42 hours of lockdown. In Abeokuta, Peter Falomo, Ogtv News.
The Code of Conduct Bureau Ogun State set up a monitoring team on the enforcement of lockdown and distribution of palliatives to cushion the effects of coronavirus in the state. The role of the bureau, according to its state director, Rabiu Olusegun, is strictly to monitor and ensure that actions and behavior of government agents enforcing the lockdown order and those in charge of the distribution of palliatives and the conditional cash transfer conform to the highest standard of morality and accountability. The release advises members of the public to forward petitions or any act of high-handedness by law enforcement agents or any abuse of office on the part of those in charge of palliatives to the attention of the team for possible redress on these telephone numbers 0803-374-2343 or 0805-4033-743. And still to come, Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 declares more grants to cover despite efforts so far to combat spread. More news and stories after this break. Welcome back. It's still Ogtv News. The Presidential Task Force, PTF, on the novel coronavirus pandemic has said despite progress so far made to combat the spread of the infection, the country had yet a long ground to cover. The Secretary to the Government of the Federation and Chairman of the PTF in Abuja also said the situation in Kano State was being closely monitored. The SGF, whose speech opened the day's briefing, re-echoed the charge to all Nigerians to take responsibility for the fight against COVID-19, noting that much more success will be achieved when advisories already issued and other preventive measures were seriously followed. Mustafa said the PTF has continued to assess the situation nationwide and an appropriate report has been submitted to the President. The PTF, as such, shall continue to pursue the strategy of aggressive testing, detection, isolation, contact tracing, care and management, and non-pharmaceutical measures will be enhanced. The Kano State Governor, Abdullahi Ganduje, has accused the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 of neglecting the state and its current efforts against the coronavirus pandemic. Ganduje expressed his displeasure in an interview on Monday. He said the state is in a serious problem with the closure of COVID-19 testing center and shortage of sample collection equipment. Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai has ordered all senior appointees and top civil servants in the state to donate 50% of their salaries to fund the next phase of the provision of relief items to vulnerable people in the state. The government had extended the lockdown in the state by another 30 days. In a statement by the media aide to the governor, Muyiwa Adekeye, those concerned by the governor's order on salary cut include commissioners, permanent secretaries, special advisors, and heads of agencies. According to the statement, El-Rufai directed that each of the concerned persons should donate 500,000 in April 2020, while the 5% salary donations will be effective in the subsequent months till the lockdown is lifted in the state. The number of COVID-19 cases has risen to 8 in Ondo State. A week ago, the state had only 2 active cases at the infectious disease hospital. It was gathered that one of the cases was from Abuja. He was denied access to an apartment by the landlord. The landlord was said to have alerted the state government, who picked her up. The samples were collected and the results returned positive. The Nigerian Senate is to resume plenary on Tuesday, April 28. The clerk of the Senate, Nelson Ayewo, announced this in a statement on Monday. He informed the lawmakers in the upper chamber of the National Assembly that the plenary will begin at 10 in the morning. The statement came a day after the House of Representatives announced that it will resume plenary also on Tuesday. This day, 27th April 1994, the social rights activist, politician, and anti-apartheid crusader Nelson Mandela was elected as the first black president of South Africa after 27 years in prison for his anti-apartheid work. Nelson Mandela was elected on the platform of African National Congress, ruled between 1994 and 1995. Matthew Shomi in this special report takes a look at the election of Mandela 26 years after.
I woke up at 5 o'clock expecting that I will be the first one to be on the queue. But to my surprise, when I get there, the queue was so long.
This morning, I feel I'm just like being born.
We are 2-3 inches taller than we were yesterday.
It was a momentous occasion and a watershed in the political history and emancipation of black men from racial subjugation in South Africa, as the people went to the poll to elect the first black president of the country.
Person is human like me.
Just look at this queue, look at the way we are together, you know. There's no distinction of class or race or anything.
Anything can happen to me after this, I don't mind, as long as I've cast my vote.
It was my first election that I voted in. I felt like I was lucky enough in my lifetime.
Nelson Mandela was the oldest head of state in South Africa's history, taking office at the age of 75, as well as the first to take office following the dismantling of the apartheid system and the introduction of multiracial democracy. For the first time in the history of South Africa, the people came out en masse to elect the social rights activist, philanthropist, and anti-apartheid crusader without distinction of class or race. On the day of his inauguration, attended by representatives of over 200 countries of the world, Nelson Mandela promised to unite the nation of South Africa and reposition it for greatness.
As ordinary South Africans, must produce an actual South African reality that will reinforce humanity's belief in justice, strengthen its confidence in the nobility of the human soul, and sustain all our hopes for a closeless life for all.
To death of gas tolled the generation of 23,081.5 megawatts of electricity in 8 days, despite the 200 billion naira that was paid by the federal government recently to the power sector, particularly for settling gas debts. Investigations showed that between April 16 and 23, 2020, gas constraints persisted as the most daily dominant challenge to power generation. On the world today, UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson has warned against relaxing lockdown as he returns to work after a battle with the coronavirus.
Welcome to the world today. The first world leader known to have had coronavirus is now leading his nation's response to it. And in a speech outside 10 Downing Street, the British Prime Minister had a clear message, saying, "Don't give up on the lockdown yet." In his first remarks after returning to work on Monday, Johnson acknowledged that the restrictions were hard to bear and risk taking a heavy toll on the economy. But he warned that the UK was at the moment of maximum risk and suggested restrictions would need to remain in place for the time being in order to avoid a second spike of infections. The UK's lockdown measures are due to be reviewed again by the 7th of May. Johnson struck a characteristically upbeat tone in his address, drawing on his own brush with the virus to offer a message of hope to a country which has endured at least 20,000 deaths from the virus.
FIFA has proposed allowing teams to make up to 5 substitutions per match to help players cope with the return to action after the coronavirus pandemic. Teams will be afforded only 3 slots plus the half-time break during the match to make the changes in a bid to avoid unnecessary stoppages. And quickly, the Premier League will hold further talks this week as it targets a return behind closed doors in